After asking a long list of people how they describe me today, a couple of words that came up frequently were social, overachieving, and seems to have it all together. Although I would say these are fairly accurate today, the only one of these words I would have used 4 years ago would have been overachieving. Good morning, Appleby. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Adrian Davila, and I could not be more excited to be here in front of you today. For as long as I can remember, I, like many of you, have always wanted to achieve success, the accomplishment of aim or purpose. While I had no concrete definition of how success looked like to me, I had a few general ideas in mind. Get accepted to a great university, which in turn will help me get a great job, after which I can retire and relax. Starting grade at Appleby was a big transition for me. I was switching schools, languages, and leaving behind all my old friends in Toronto. Driven by ambition and big idealistic goals, I always felt like I had something to prove to friends, family, but most of all, myself. Prove that I could not only aim super high when it came to academics, leadership, and service, but also accomplish every single thing I aimed to do. As I progressed through the grades, I got more and more ambitious, especially when it came to what future Adrian can do. This was because in my head, future Adrian is not burdened by all the myriad of to-do items that present Adrian has to do, so I will happily saddle future Adrian with far too many commitments. By the 11th grade, this got to the point where I had a list of about 7 or 8 different active volunteer leadership positions on top of all my schoolwork, clubs, and co-curriculars. Months and months went by where I would just push up against deadlines, work far too late into the night, and tell myself that next time I'll work harder and be more efficient. That was always my go-to solution for everything. I would think, if I'm having a hard time right now, if things are stressful, it's my fault because I've been inefficient and I need to work harder next time around. After all this grinding, the inevitable happened, and I know it's something that many students here can relate to. A few weeks after the start of virtual learning last year, I went through a period of true burnout. When you've been grinding so long that your entire life becomes a grind. It's more late nights, more caffeine, more weekends behind a computer, and less moments to relax and catch a breath. Whether you're driven by ambition or your schedule is being filled by someone else, in that effort to keep up, you become overwhelmed, and that sense of being overwhelmed manifests as burnout, the moment where everything gives. Now don't get me wrong, it's not hard work in and of itself that burned me out. In fact, hard work is absolutely necessary to achieve any and every goal, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. What did burn me out was a mentality that I needed to keep up the same insane pace I was going at forever. Over time, I became mentally exhausted. I started to take a very cynical approach to how I looked at my work, and deadlines started to stack up. I've definitely gone through stressful periods before, but this time was different, and part of the reason was that I felt trapped by the work I'd built for myself. It was kind of funny, because no one was telling me to do what I was doing. Everything that I do on a daily basis is something that I decided to do, and yet I still felt like I had to keep on grinding. During one of the long weekends in virtual learning, I was biking around downtown Toronto and taking pictures with one of my best friends. While he was chasing some pigeons around Yonge Dundas Square, a stranger saw my camera, came up to me, and recommended I check out a blog titled Humans in New York. Humans in New York was created by author and photographer Brandon Stanton, one of my all-time favorite photographers, not for his style, but more so for the way he uses photography as a medium to share the stories and experiences of the community around him. Brandon has spent the past decade going around the world, taking photos of strangers and asking them deep, personal questions. And people get very real with them. The stories shared are often traumatic and dark, and quickly make you realize that you may not have it so bad. One day, while scrolling through the page, I stumbled upon a photo of a fashionable older Asian man, smiling and posing. It stopped me in my tracks. His quote read, "I'm different than other people. I'm never sad. I make my life happy through discipline. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I eat lots of fiber. Every day, I take a walk in the park to think about my balance. I've been a chef, a fashion designer, a painter, and I'm learning martial arts. I do Tai Chi in the park every morning. It helps give me energy for my painting. I've already learned 42 moves, and I'm ahead of everyone. I'm almost 80 years old, but all of them in my group think I'm in my 50s. I swear I've read his quote like 10 times, analyzed every detail of his features. Above and below him on the blog were stories of people who were hooked on drugs, dealing with divorce, or just didn't know how to get out of their own misery. This guy was an anomaly, the happiest man in the world. It's been a long time since I came across the photo, but I've continuously thought about him since. He left this incredible mark in my brain, one of possibility. In a single paragraph, he outdid 100 self-help books. He found that thing that so many of us are so desperate for, consistent joy. What struck me was his intentionality. His happiness wasn't random. He said, "I make my life happy through discipline." Being great at happiness is no different from being great at any sport or endeavor. It requires deep focus and attention to detail. It means practicing day in and day out until you acquire the skills to make yourself fulfilled. It means removing the things that don't work for you and getting rid of distractions and negative forces that bring you down. Notice how he started his quote with what he doesn't do. Subtract before you add. For me, this meant scaling back on the number of commitments I had, prioritizing what I thought was most important, and focusing on what brought me the most happiness. Every day, what we do and who we are choices. Many people wake up in the morning, mad at the fact they don't feel good. They proceed to hop on their phones, drink some caffeine, go to a school or job they don't love while spending more time on their phones, then come home, eat an unhealthy dinner, maybe have a drink or two, scroll through their phones again, and pass out. Repeat, repeat, repeat. The happiest people I know have the most boundaries. They prioritize their own joy. They do the therapeutic work to heal their own trauma. They're selfish with their time and invest their energy into who and what they love. For me, that's friends, family, and photography. For you, that might be something completely different. It's not random. You don't become great at anything by chance. Creating joy in your life takes work and intention. When I get low or feel in a rut, I think to myself, what would the happiest man in the world do right now? Would he spend time with people that don't make him happy? Would he do work that he doesn't enjoy? Or would he rather go outside or maybe learn a new hobby? I don't know his story. I don't know if he had an abnormally easy life or suffered any serious setbacks. But I like it that way. To leave it open and to not complicate it with specifics. To accept that whatever life you're given, you can intentionally choose how you operate within it. And that choice will make all the difference in how you feel. So, now, after listening to me ramble for the last 10 minutes or so, if there's one thing I want you to retain from this speech, it's this. Next time you are the one feeling low, in a rut, or starting to feel burnt out, ask yourself this one question. What would the happiest version of you be doing right now? I think it's a pretty good place to start. Now, would you please rise and virtually join me in singing Let Us Build a House?